Hello.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning, Jamie.
We are live on Facebook and YouTube. So we'll give it just a minute for a few people to join us.
Sounds great.
All right, we've got some people hopping on. So we can go ahead and get started. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today for our network welcome. I'm Jamie Chavez, the President and CEO of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce. And every Wednesday, we bring to you a live broadcast featuring one of our newest chamber members to introduce them and give them a chance to talk to you about their business. For anyone new to the broadcast, thank you for being here. We appreciate it, and we encourage you to like and follow this page so that you receive notifications when we go live in the future. If you're on YouTube, you can hit subscribe, and you can explore our previous broadcasts there as well. We also offer Monday broadcasts, which are dedicated to city updates from our city councilors, Mayor Pro Tem, and our mayor. We're also adding our city manager to that rotation as well. So make sure you check in on Mondays at 11 for those broadcasts. This coming Monday, I've got Councillor Ireland, so I hope to see you all there for that one. And then we also reserve Friday, the last Friday of the month, for our county updates featuring Jeffco County Commissioner Tracy Kraft-Tharp. So hopefully you'll stay tuned and join us for those as well. As you watch the broadcast this morning, we encourage you to engage with us. Don't be shy, drop your comments, ask questions, or simply say hello in the comments section, and we will get to those during the interview. And so now I would like to extend a very warm welcome to Dr. Sarah Hilliard, owner at PetVet365. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Jamie. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I would love if you could just kind of jump in with a brief intro about yourself and the practice and how you ended up doing this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been a veterinarian for 15 years. I'm an Ohio native, so I graduated from the Ohio State University College of Veterinary Medicine, go Bucks. And I've been living here in Colorado for the last 10 years. And my background in veterinary medicine has been quite varied. I started my career thinking I wanted to be a specialist. And so I actually went down the internship and residency training route, and then ended up in general practice after that. And I've worked for a variety of both privately owned and corporate owned practices in my career. But for the last 7 years, before I started PetVet365 Westminster, I was actually working outside of clinical practice, doing industry work. And in the veterinary world, industry work basically means veterinarians working outside of clinical practice, but still working for veterinary medicine. And I was working for a pharmaceutical company that's fairly well known in the animal industry called Zoetis. And I was sort of a product support veterinarian. I helped train the team on how to talk about products and help educate veterinarians around the products and their use in their practices. And one of the main reasons that I left clinical practice was because I was experiencing a lot of burnout and a lot of what we call compassion fatigue, which is a really, really big issue in veterinary medicine. And perhaps we'll chat about that a little bit more as we go through this broadcast. But I really felt like for my own physical and mental health, I needed to take a break from clinical practice. And quite honestly, I wasn't sure if I'd ever go back. But over the course of those 7 years, I realized how much my heart was really in the practice, really in seeing pets and connecting with pet owners. And so an opportunity came my way with this group called PetVet365. And I feel very lucky because the two women who founded this whole concept in Northern Kentucky are two very close friends of mine. They're veterinarians, businesswomen, entrepreneurs. And like a lot of us, they've been in a lot of different roles in vet med. And in 2019, they decided to start a practice with two simple concepts. The first one was a place that we would want to take our pets. And the second one was a place that we would want to work. And with all the things that are happening in veterinary medicine, the level of burnout, the way that pets are treated as family, the care and concern that people have, we're really in a place where we need to innovate and try to disrupt old models and provide something that can be sustainable both for the veterinarian, the technicians who work hard for us, and the staff, as well as meeting the needs of the modern pet owner. So I was approached by my dear friends with the idea that what would it look like if we branched out into the Denver area with this model. And so I took a really big leap at the beginning of last year and decided that this model and this concept, and my heart was really pulling me toward opening up a practice in partnership with this group here in Westminster, which has been my hometown for about 8 years now. So that's a little bit about why, I stand here, and there's lots more to tell about the practice, but we'll kind of go from there. I know you have some questions for me.
Yeah, that's amazing. And want to encourage people to ask questions, people that are watching as well. So you are located in downtown Westminster. And one thing when you arrive at your storefront or your clinic front, there's a sign that says, we are a non-fear clinic. Please give us a call. So maybe tell us a little bit about what that means.
Absolutely. So one of the concepts kind of in creating this ideal space, both for the pets, the pet owners, and the veterinarians and the folks who are caring for them, we embrace what's called a fear-free model of care. And Fear-Free is, and Fear-Free is actually an organization that's been around for several years now, very active since about 2016. And the whole concept is very simple. How do we reduce fear, anxiety, and stress in our patients? How do we create an environment that allows them to feel safe? And how do we work with them that allows us to make sure that we have consent before we do things to these animals, right? We're working with nonverbal species, and so they can't tell us how they feel. They can't tell us how anxious they are or if they're fearful. And a lot of body language in animals can be misinterpreted as excited or happy when really that body language is telling us that know how to speak dog and cat, that they're actually quite anxious and fearful. So everybody at our practice, doctors, technicians, assistants, everyone who works here is a fear-free certified professional. And what that means is that each of us have gone through a fairly lengthy training program in order to understand how to handle, talk to, and create an environment that reduces fear, anxiety, and stress. And so in addition to our personal training on how we handle the animals and sort of how we explain the way that we do things here, our building was designed from the ground up to fit with that fear-free model. And so part of that starts before the animal even arrives. And so we like to educate our pet owners when they call and they say, hey, we'd like to bring our pet in. We tell them over the phone or over text that we are a fear-free clinic, and this is what that means. We have them fill out a form, both about their pet's medical history, but also about their emotional medical history. What does it feel like for them when they've come to the vet in the past? What triggers them? What do they like? Do they have a preference for a male or a female veterinarian or staff? And all of these things really help us prepare the space and prepare for the best possible visit for that pet. You mentioned our door. So on our door, when you come up and if you try to enter, our door stays locked all the time. And that is very intentional. The reason for that is because one of the biggest triggers for pets when they come to the vet is seeing other animals in a congregated waiting area or lobby, right? They're typically already a little bit anxious, especially kitty cats, right? Because they're in a new environment. And not all animals are other animal friendly. So we've eliminated the lobby. We lock our door such that we don't have surprise entrances, right? So that any patient who might be coming, entering or exiting is going to be able to do that without any type of surprise. So we have a sign on our door that asks everyone to text us and let us know that they're here. And the whole concept with our scheduling is that we're staggering things such that there aren't any cross species or interspecies interactions. So when you come in, we meet you at the door and we take you straight into your personal exam room. And our exam rooms, I'm standing in our cat room right now, and it's hard to conceptualize the whole thing, but our exam rooms are really built to feel more like little living rooms or rooms in your home versus a medical office. And so we get comments sometimes like, is this the waiting room? It's like, no, this is where you're going to be. And the other thing we know about pets and anxiety is that the medicalized look, the stainless steel, the tables, right? These are things that automatically induce fear and anxiety in patients. And so when they come into our room, there's toys, there's beds, there's treats, if appropriate, even hypoallergenic treats, if an animal has an allergy. In our cat room, we have a litter box, we have catnip, we have a variety of things that really help the animal feel comfortable. Instead of stainless steel tables, we have couches and rugs, right? And as doctors and technicians and assistants, we meet that animal wherever that animal is most comfortable. Sometimes it's on the floor, sometimes it's on the couch, sometimes it's in their owner's arms, right? And we have the ability to read that body language in order to keep us safe and keep the animal safe.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. There's so much to say about Fear Free, and I'm obviously very passionate about it. The other thing that we do that I think makes a really big difference, that is sort of a silent or unknown thing in our practice, is every single room and every single area in our entire hospital, from the very front to the very, very back entrance, we diffuse animal-specific pheromones. And so most people understand what pheromones are, right? They're sort of these species-specific scents, if you will, that we interpret in our brain to mean certain things. And there's been a lot of study and a lot of development around animal-specific pheromones that help to reduce fear, anxiety, and stress. And so in our dog rooms, we diffuse a dog-specific pheromone that's kind of similar to a pheromone secreted in mama's milk. And so it makes dogs feel comforted. It makes them feel attached. It makes them feel like this is where I belong. Whereas in our feline rooms, cats are not small dogs. We all know that. And the cat room, it's more of a territorial pheromone. So if you've ever seen a cat sort of rub their cheek on anything, a lot of people think that's a sign of affection. It's actually not. It's a sign that the cat is marking its sort of area of where their territory is. And so this pheromone actually is already diffusing throughout our cat room. So when a cat enters this room, the idea is that they automatically feel like, I've already marked this room. This is my safe zone.
Got it. Yeah. Well, I certainly appreciate that approach. I know whenever I take my dog anywhere inside, he's very leash aggressive. And so if there's another animal anywhere, it's a zoo. So that's a really great approach.
Yeah,
for sure. Can you tell us about what kind of services you provide?
Sure. Yep. So we are a full service general practice. And what that means in the veterinary world, it's a little bit different than the human side when you think of a general practice. Veterinarians who are general practices are truly jacks of all trade. We do everything from ophthalmology to dentistry to general surgery to orthopedic care, right? And so we do kind of a combination of things. Wellness care is a big pillar of what we do. We're really trying to educate owners and meet them with simple, understandable ways to care for their pets in the easiest way possible while still meeting the standards that are recommended across, the Board of Veterinary Medicine. We do sick care as well, right? We all know that unexpected things happen. And so we are here to serve animals who are having illnesses, injuries, anything like that. We also do surgery and dentistry. So that's another big part of what we do. Routine surgeries like spays and neuters, and even more advanced surgeries like bladder surgery or intestinal surgery. We all know that dogs and cats sometimes eat things that they shouldn't, right? And so we have the ability to do all those types of general surgeries. And if we are presented with something that is maybe more advanced or specialized, we have referral partners that we work with, surgeons included, where we can guide that pet owner to the best place for that pet for that particular procedure. And then we also do dentistry. So dentistry is a huge part of general practice. Animals generally, once they reach the age of 1 or 2, start to develop periodontal disease, which is something that isn't very well known, but we know that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure when it comes to dentistry. So we really advocate for annual dental cleanings, both in dogs and cats. And then once in a while, we do have some periodontal disease that's advanced and does require oral surgery, which we do as well.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, a whole bunch of things.
Yeah.
Speaking of cats, because you've mentioned cats quite a bit, I know I don't have a cat, but I know a lot of people that do. And I feel like there's this myth that if a cat never leaves the house, you don't really need to take the cat to the vet. Yeah. So tell me your opinion on that.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Yeah, we get that quite a bit, and across our entire industry, cats are very under medicalized. And what that means is that there are just as many, if not more, depending on what statistic you read, cats that are owned as dogs. But in a practice, we typically see a ratio of anywhere from 60 to 80% dogs and 20 to 40% cats, right? And that doesn't reflect what the pet owners own at home, right? And so this whole idea of cats don't need care if they're just inside and they're not doing anything and they're not exposed to anything is a huge myth, and actually quite a huge problem for cats. There's a couple of reasons for that. Cats by nature are very private animals about their health. They don't wear their heart on their sleeve the way that dogs do. And many, many times, more often than not, a cat isn't going to show any signs of illness until that illness or injury is quite severe. And that goes back to their history as sort of a prey and predator species, right? In the wild, if a cat shows signs of weakness or is limping or something like that, they could be in quite danger, right? A lot of danger from a predator. And so they have just evolved, even as house cats, right? Even as the princesses and princes that they are living in our homes, to hide their illness. And so it is equally, if not more important, to bring your cat in annually at minimum, right? Maybe twice a year if they're older, so that we can do a physical exam on that cat. We can listen to their heart, look in their eyes, feel their belly, and potentially, ideally, draw some blood on that cat so that we can analyze their blood work and make sure they're not experiencing early signs of kidney disease. And we know that the earlier we find it, the earlier we intervene, the more healthy that cat can be. And our goal is always to help these animals live as close to forever as possible, which usually aligns with the owner's goal as well.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So what are some other things about PetVet365 that set you apart from other vets in the area?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things. We already talked about fear-free, and I think we could probably do a whole hour broadcast on fear-free practice. And we are working on our fear-free practice certification, which is a very extensive process of many, many, many things that we have to do. We have an evaluator come in and we have to pass sort of a test, if you will. And that's a very unique thing. A lot of people don't realize that fear-free is more than just saying like, we're trying to reduce fear, right? It's an actual process that we live, eat, and breathe. And there are very few fear-free certified practices in the area. And so we're very, very proud of that and excited to get that certification soon. A couple of other things that sort of set us apart. One is something called our VIP memberships. And so when we built this practice, I mentioned preventative care. Preventative care is something that most pet owners are very aware about, right? Most pet owners understand that their pet should have a rabies vaccine or have a checkup and things like that. But there's a lot more to preventative care than just vaccines, right? And so what we wanted to do when we built this practice was make things simple and accessible for the modern pet owner. What I find is that most pet owners want what's best for their pet, but the world of what to do is very confusing, right? If you Google things or you go down the Facebook, rabbit hole, you're going to find a lot of different recommendations. We also know that most pet owners believe that their veterinarian is the best source of advice for preventative care. And so knowing those things, we created what are called VIP memberships. A lot of memberships are available today, right? We have our Audible membership and our gym membership and things like that. And so the idea was, how do we create something simple that allows people to sort of budget for their pet's preventative care while not missing anything? So these VIP memberships sort of bond pet owners to our practice. And what they are is packages of preventative care for cats and dogs that are customizable based on the species, the age, and the particular need of the pet. But what they do is they sort of encompass everything we know that animal needs for the full year. And then it allows pet owners to budget in the sense that instead of paying for 1 or 2 large vet visits per year, we spread the cost of that plan, if you will, out in 12-month increments. So we know that pet care in the Denver area for a healthy dog or cat is somewhere between $1,200 and $1,500 every year. And that doesn't include food. Okay, if we're doing everything that our veterinarians and the American Veterinary Medical Association recommends. And that can be a hard pill to swallow all at once. And so we're really trying to make this an accessible, easy way for owners to do that. And a couple of benefits of the VIP membership include all VIP members who are bonded to us, there's never a cost to bring your animal in to see the veterinarian. Normally our office visit has a fee associated with it, like all practices do. But our VIP members can always bring their pet in, meet with the vet, have a physical exam at no charge. And that can be a huge peace of mind for folks who are sitting at home and wondering, should I go in? Is it worth it? Is it not? We always want you to come in. And then the second thing that makes it sort of unique is we're open from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, and 4 hours on Saturday and Sunday. So we are here 7 days a week, but we're not here 24/7. And we know that when things happen, it's often at 9 o'clock at night on a Sunday or sometime, right, when we're not open. And so our VIP members actually have access to our team, our technician team, and our doctors between the hours of 6:30 and 10 p.m. to get medical advice so that we can advise them, make an appointment for them, send them to the ER, whatever needs to happen. So an additional sort of layer of peace of mind there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I have a couple dogs that got into some gum.
Yes.
Several years ago, and it was after hours, and it was kind of hard to find treatment for them. This was up in Windsor, Colorado, but yeah, that was one of the scarier things.
Absolutely. And we have great emergency hospitals in our area and partners that will, take patients 24/7, but sometimes you just want to talk to your vet, your team, right? The people that know your animal. And that's why we created this sort of teletriage service to really be there for our pet owners. And actually anyone can text us between those hours to make an appointment or introduce themselves and kind of establish care. But it is the VIP members that actually can get the medical advice from us because we have that relationship.
Awesome. That's amazing. We do have a question from David Carpenter. My cat Lara is quasi-feral, indoor-outdoor huntress. I have difficulty even petting her, much less being able to control. Do you have any tips for this to get her into you?
Yeah, it is a great question, and I do have some tips. Like I mentioned before, so much of what we do with our fear-free model starts before the animal ever comes in, right? And we know, especially with cats, that even the act of getting into the carrier is a huge barrier, right? And so most times, the carrier only comes out when it's time to go in the car or it's time to go to the vet or wherever, right? The car ride for the cat is not the exciting thing that it is for the dog. And so there's a lot of tips and tricks. And David, we can maybe even talk offline if you want, because it will probably take longer than a couple of minutes to explain, but a couple of just really quick tips. The first one is make the carrier something that is a normal part of the day. Make it enticing, right? Even consider feeding the cat in the carrier, right? So that it becomes something that is a good thing, not a bad thing. The other piece of advice that I have, I talked a little bit about the pheromones and the specific pheromones that we diffuse here. Those are available commercially without a prescription. The feline pheromone that we use is called Feliway, F-E-L-I-W-A-Y. You can actually buy both the diffuser and the spray at a variety of places, pet stores, online, Amazon. And that spray is really, really great to spray down towels or other types of materials. You can even spray down the entire carrier. And we typically recommend when owners are getting ready to bring their cat to the vet that they spray down that carrier, spray a towel so that animal feels like, okay, this is my area, this is a safe zone, and even cover that carrier with a towel when transporting just to help reduce that fear, anxiety, and stress. So for your kitty, Lyra, indoor, outdoor, quasi-feral, right, this might take some time. Patience is key and consistency is key.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
And did you mention, are you open 365 days a year?
Great question. We aren't open 365 days a year. The 365 in our name, PetVet365, comes from the 365-day access. So we are open 7 days a week, closed on the 5 major holidays. So we're almost open 365 days a year, 360, right? Pretty close. But even on those holidays, you still have access to us through our teletriage service. So our technicians are paid to run our teletriage service on holidays, and they are there for our clients, our VIP clients, or even folks who just want to make an appointment from 6:30 in the morning till 10 at night, 365 days a year.
Awesome. And tell us, do you have pets, and what kind of pets do you have?
Ooh, thanks for asking. A lot of people think I probably have somewhere around a dozen or 2 dozen animals, but I don't. I am the proud owner of 2 very, very awesome dogs. I have a 9-year-old golden retriever. Her name is Ophelia. If you ever come by and visit our practice, which we highly encourage, we love to give tours, you might find her here. She has the title Chief Compassion Officer, or CCO. Of PetVet365 Westminster. And so she provides a lot of love and support for us and our team. She's, if you know anything about golden retrievers, she is a tribute to her breed. And then I have a 7-year-old hound dog mix who was rescued from a highway in Texas. His name is Sagan, after the late philosopher Carl Sagan. And he is a very, very energetic, boisterous, goofy, smiley, happy hound dog who's probably mixed with more than 40 different breeds. But he is a great complement to our calm, sweet, people-oriented Ophelia. He keeps us active with about an hour of exercise every day. And so, and you know, we have a lot of personality in our house between those 2 kids.
Yeah. Well, I've got a border collie that's about 14 years old, so he's getting up there in age. So I would take any tips you have for aging dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to say that, you know, age is not a disease, but with age does come the higher likelihood of certain things, right? And so senior care is something that we take very seriously. Dogs are living longer because we are providing better care as they age. And so my best advice for you is really to establish with a veterinarian that you know and trust. And biannual exams are typically recommended for senior pets simply because the trajectory of aging in dogs, you know, does start to hit a pretty high curve once they hit those senior years, right? We generally say dogs age about 7 years for every year that we age. But realistically, as they get older, that's a faster trajectory. And so frequent exams, annual blood work, an orthopedic evaluation is always important because we know that many animals, cats and dogs, as they age, have signs of arthritis, whether we're seeing them or not. So get in with your vet, do it frequently. Again, it's that whole ounce of prevention's worth a pound of cure. Finding things early, starting early before things get bad can really help us improve quality of life. And that's really what it's all about for our senior pets.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. We have just a couple minutes left if anyone's got any other questions. And if not, is there anything else that you would like to mention that we haven't talked about?
Yeah, I think the last thing is, you know, there's veterinary medicine is an amazing profession. You know, I've wanted to be a veterinarian since I was very, very young, but it's also a very hard profession. And so I think it's just important that people understand, you know, with our practice and what we're doing here, we're obviously trying to provide the highest standard of care and help animals live as close to forever as possible. But we're also really active in sort of the mental health space and creating a place where veterinarians, technicians, assistants, practice managers, anybody who comes into this profession comes in with a huge, huge heart, right? And so we have to take care of each other. And so one of the things we're doing here is really trying to focus on our own well-being, providing an environment that supports that, one of transparency. We have our own manifesto and wellness pledge and are just really trying to pave the way, I guess, for a brighter future for veterinarians so that no one has to, or in veterinary staff, so that no one has to experience the level of burnout and fatigue that I experienced early in my career, because I love this profession and I never want to leave it, but it can be really, really hard at times. And I think it's important that people know that. Yeah,
absolutely. Definitely. Well, thank you so much for coming on the broadcast today. It's been super fun to talk to you, and informative. And I'm sure that people are going to be, you know, calling you to come call first, everybody.
Yeah, and if you're in the area and and you want to tour the facility, we love giving tours. We love doing happy visits with pets and just showing them what a fear-free experience can look like. So
yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank you again, and glad to have you on board with the chamber, and thank you for being on today.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks, Jamie, and thanks everybody. Come see us.